Yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 179 of Splinterlands 101. Joining us once again, co-hosts of the show, Finest General who ever lived, Chairman of the DAO, etc., Matt Clark.
Howdy, howdy.
The man behind the Pouffet Poussey account, Geo Tricks.
Thank you for having me on for the 179th time. I'm happy to be here.
And our guest tonight, if you don't recognise the face, you will definitely recognise the name. If you have had anything to do with Splinterlands, I'd like to welcome to the show, Azicon.
Hey there.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
It's so funny, after the last episode, when we finished, we were all talking about the stats, and it was like, we need to get Azicon back on the show again. And then you made that comment about the land. It's like, she come back. It's like, perfect timing. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So
because
welcome.
I was listening to that show and watching it as I was driving.
Oh, you.
So I was not really watching. So I was mostly listening. So I was driving from Winter Park to Denver on the way back home. And I'll tell you what I was doing there. But it was so painful to listen.
Yeah.
For me too.
Yes.
All of us.
I thought, okay, I have to take this guy out of his misery. So so I made that comment, and I thought, okay, this is only appropriate if I come back immediately after.
Yeah. It's quite overwhelming.
Yes.
I do get a little bit of anxiety, so I get overwhelmed easily. But yeah, this was a lot to take in. So
no problem.
Definitely appreciate the opportunity for some help. And
Yeah,
I'm sure
no
there would
problem.
be many people watching who are in the same boat. And as per your post, looking at the figures, there's a lot of people even in a worse situation.
Yes.
Than
Yeah,
me.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and I look at my stuff and I think I'm getting it right,
Yes.
mostly right. But then
Yes.
it's always nice to get another set of eyes on it, right? A second opinion, and that's the joy of this thing. It's all open, like it's all public.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyone can look and do an analysis. And if
Yeah.
someone wants to DM me and say, actually, Matt, you're missing this great opportunity if you just did this, this, and that, it's like, wow, yeah. Of course. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole idea. So, if I can jump in straight ahead, when I started this, land is not new, right? As we all know, 2020 is when we first purchased the pre-sale. I mean, it looks
Wow.
like decades ago. It seems that way. Honestly speaking, for the longest of time before 1.75 was announced, I was kind of not very upfront or happy about land myself, and personally speaking. I just felt it was boring. Like I am a gamer myself, so even during this show, Geo, we can do a battle. If there is a time, because I am a player. I am a card gamer myself. So land never really interested me that much because it was boring for me. Although I had a full region, for the longest of time, I had like 20% of the region populated or less, 15%. I think for a very long time, it was only 15% populated. But when Mansur took over, I think that was my trigger point. And then 1.75 came in. And that was, essentially, I got really interested. And I have to thank Vaktis for that. So you all know Vaktis. Vaktis is the largest landholder, largest card holder, second largest SPS holder. I mean, was largest SPS holder for a very long time and only barely second right now. So both Vaktis and Brave Tofu, we talk a lot all the time, almost daily. So for the longest of time, Vaktis and I, we would chat about various different things. And he would try to get me interested in land, and I wouldn't budge. But, when 1.75 came over, and, I finally, that is kind of, in my case, the dam breaks down and, the water started flowing. So that was um, my event. And so I got interested in land after that. So at the same time, what happened is back then, during the earlier times, the data was always public in the Splinterland APIs, but it is not easily consumable, right? So it required certain bit of coding to unlock that data back then, right? So at the same time of 1.75, something very strange happened. Um, there was a post. I mean, I was working on something else. I was working on this ratio called KE for Hive, and I'll talk about that as well. So there's a guy who messaged me during one of these posts. This guy is called Beaker, and he messaged me saying it was all public message in one of my posts. He said that this ratio that you came up with, what can we do about it, or why my ratio is high and mine is about 5, and what can we do about that, and is it right? Am I, so by definition, am I an extractor? So I said, yes, Beaker, you are an extractor based on this. And he said, okay, yeah, that's so. What can we do about it? He said, okay, the first thing we can do about it, we can make some plots for everyone. And right now, I'm limited to only, at that point in time, I was limited to only top 200 people of Splinterland. Like I can see the entire Hive population, but SPS, what I was trying to get at is the SPS stakeholder. If I can get a list of SPS stakeholder, I want to compare their SPS stake with their Hive stake and kind of do a comparative study. But at that time, the only data that is available to me was top 200 people. So Beaker said, okay, let me work on something and I'll get back to you. And he did get back to me. He did get back to me with a full-blown website, which is the link. We started to develop that web page, and it's all Beaker. I just make plots and do spreadsheet, but he's the Python wizard, so he makes the data available to the public. So, it's amazing. Like about 5 months ago, our conversation started with Beaker, you are an extractor, you are a bad dude. And look how that happened and how that came out. So, I'm going to pause a little bit and let you guys reflect. And oftentimes that is amazing how that thing goes.
Yeah, Beaker's very well known in the Hive Australia community, so yeah, we all know who you're talking about. He does a lot of work that a lot of people will probably be unaware of as well. He works behind the scenes quite quietly and effectively.
Yeah. So it started with a series of things. It started with KE. Then there was, at that time, there was a Leo proposal going on, and there were certain things I was unhappy about, and I wanted to extract certain data and compare Leo people, because the Leo finance people, they claimed they have onboarded thousands of Hive accounts or individuals. And I was skeptical about that. And I said, okay, maybe you have opened a lot of Hive account, but you haven't really onboarded that many people, because account doesn't really mean people. Because, what I was getting there, I have the past experience from 2021, and Matt is very aware of that. We had created at that time millions of accounts, but we did not get millions of people. A lot of those are like thousands of them, tens of thousands of them. There are probably 1% behind that. Rest of them were all bots, right? So I had that in my mind. So I kind of tried to apply the same principle with this. And so Beaker again helped me with the data, and we did data analysis, and we just made that thing public so that we can have a discussion. So that's sort of what I do. I like to work with data. I like to work with data. I like to work with plots, and I like to make things public so that everybody can use it. I mean, it's not that, like, people like Vaktis, he have been using this for a very long time, like all the land related data, but he's a developer himself. So it's easy for him to do, but it is not easy for a lot of us. Like, for you, Bob, or for me, it is not that easy, right? Unless the data is in a consumable format, it is not so easy. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I can relate to and as an analogy, back when I first got into crypto, I would go to what was available as an exchange back then, and it used to scare the hell out of me. And now, of course, a lot of exchanges, the user interface is much more friendly, and I think that when you have a user interface that's easy to understand, you're making that data now available to a lot more people.
So yeah, and at this point in time, I think I'm going to pause and let me know which direction you want to go, and then I'll take you in that direction.
Matt, probably open the floor there, because I've been taking a bit of advice from you. So yeah, I think you'll be a good spokesperson here to line up some direction.
Yeah, I'm just any tool, like you say, that demystifies things and summarizes so that you can actually know that you're on the right path is going to be a valuable one. And I think we need to show appreciation with our validator votes, for example. Who's building tools for the sake of the community?
Yes.
And I think I can see this happening a lot with. Somebody mentioned in Discord the other day. They said because there's talk of adding another 3 treasurers, because for those not aware, when the DAO does a transaction, it's very difficult for people all around the world to be in the same room at the same time and to get at least 6 signatures on something. It can be quite difficult, especially if somebody's here but they're having technical problems. They can't load up the Hive authority page can be problematic. So often we're finding that it's quite difficult, and as you add more treasurers, you add more risk that any 6 of them will collude, and that would be catastrophic, because then they could basically do all sorts of nasty stuff to the DAO funds and move things, steal things. So we really need to have 6 people available, but we also need to make sure that there's 6 people that are trusted by the community, and we're not extending that too far. So we do need to add more treasurers, because it is it can be an ongoing circus where there's 5 of us there. It's kind of like a seance. Can you hear me? Is anybody hearing us? Is anybody else out there? We just need a response from one more person, and it's getting silly. So there's talk about adding 3 more, and somebody mentioned in there they said accusing Clay of just adding more friends as employees of the DAO, who didn't understand that we're volunteers, right? It's not a paid role, it's not a paid position. We're just making the sacrifice for them. So I clarified that, and Clay I think clarified that, but now I think about it, when I'm talking about validator nodes, I'm quite certain that a lot of the votes that I get for my validator node are because I'm the chairman of the DAO. So yes, it is a voluntary position, but it also means that people are rewarding that by saying, well, we trust this guy, and he's good people, so we're going to vote for his validator. So in a way, it is voluntary, but building tools like this, like Beaker's doing, from what I remember quite well on the leaderboard for the validators. So there are ways of being rewarded in this ecosystem for bringing this kind of value, and that's what I love to see, because you can't expect people to continue to just out of the generosity of their heart contribute and contribute and contribute for 5-6 years and just continue doing that, while others who just buy the assets and sit on them get the same benefit. So that's, I think, a really good development.
Yeah. So from my point of view, for me, I like working with data. Like in my day job, and throughout my academic career, I mean, I am basically a statistician in a variety of different ways. So I like to make plots and things like that. So that is satisfactory to me. So the thing about it is, for me, this is also a dual thing. It's a community service, and I like to do it. So that's the ideal situation, right? So I always, every day that I have some free time, I can think about. I usually do, what can I do to make it just a little bit better for someone else, right? So that someone else find this game interesting, right? So just today, and I think this is where I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see if I can do that. So can you guys see this? Can you guys see my screen?
Resource metrics.
Yes, resource metrics. Okay. So, Bob, when you actually make the post, you can send this link. You can write this link in the post. This is it's land.spl-stats.com. Okay. So that's the landing page. When you land here, this is the page you are going to see. And if you are familiar with land, this is the grain, wood, stone, and iron. And Bob, the other day you were talking about, I was very careful listening. You confuse yourself between stone and iron, right? That's what you mentioned. They're slightly different in color and slightly different in texture, right? That's the difference. So if I zoom in, one is kind of sort of a dirty beige, and other is light gray and dark gray. So I know they're very close, but they're not exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think when we were looking at it, it was on a much smaller scale on
Yes.
the page we were on. It was, yeah.
Right. So, what this is, there are a lot of things in this toolbox, and all of it is designed to help people. So the simplest thing is, let's say you want to know, you have some grains. I know that you buy grains because you don't produce enough. You have 5 plots and only 1 plot is producing grain. I mean, I have already memorized all this, by the way.
Yeah, I've actually made a change. So my grain plot is no longer producing grain because I realized it was pointless for what I was contributing towards self-sufficiency.
Right. And we are going to see your plot like here in this tool in a second. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, like let's say you have 1,000 grains. So you want to know how much is 1,000 grains. So you type in 1,000 here and you can see 1,000 grain right now is 7.96 DEC. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and it also gives you an SPS. It also converts it. So it has a direct price feed for both of these things. Now, what is cool about it, you can actually have multiple resources. So let's say you have 1,000 grain, 500 wood, 200 stone, 100 iron. Let's say you produce that. So it actually adds all of this together and it calculates, okay, you are producing 67 DC worth. Or if you are doing the opposite, if you want to buy, you are buying multiple resources at the same time, it can do the same thing, right? So you are going to spend 67 DSC to buy this many different resources. So that's the first basic thing that you can do with this tool. The second most important thing, the thing that I use it most is this plot. And we call it the grain factor plot. Okay. And I think I'm not going to take credit for this plot because I think this was created in Team Possible chat while discussing with a number of people. So here is another example how community collaborates and how we all put our heads together and come up with a particular display that is meant to help people. And the way to read this plot is quite simple, and I will tell you why this plot is important. Because, there are these 4 resources now after 1.75, natural resources. It is grain, wood, stone, and iron. And just based on its production difficulty, one wood, just based on the production difficulty, should be equivalent to 4 grain. Similarly, one stone should be equivalent to 10 grain, and one iron should be equivalent to 40 grain. So this is what we call it a baseline or a grain baseline. Everybody understand that at this point? So I'll pause.
Yep, following.
Okay, following, right? So that grain baseline is this horizontal line, that is the dashed line, okay? So I'm going to go full screen here. So this is the full screen. So all I did, I clicked on this, close full screen and go full screen, right? So what this is sort of a fair value plot of these resources. And we started collecting data from March. I think what's the date? March 20. So we have now March, April, May, March, April, May, June. So little more than 3 months worth of data now. So we can actually plot it. And every day at 12 GMT, a new data point is automatically generated in this plot. So one data point per day. So that's how we do it, because otherwise it just becomes too much data for the server to handle. Because again, remember all the server cost and all of this, these are all voluntary, right? We are not charging anybody for anything. This is just for the community to use. So one way of looking at it is if a resource is trading above the dashed line, it is trading above the fair value. So it is more expensive than it should be. If it is trading below the dashed line, it is cheaper than the fair value. So if you are a buyer, if all else, there are many other things to consider, but we are going to simplify it. If you are a buyer of a resource, you want to buy it if it is below fair value, and you want to sell it if it is above fair value. I mean, you can think about it this way, but oftentimes you cannot do. If you don't have a particular resource, you have to buy it at all point in time, right? So is this clear?
Yep, explaining it very well.
Right. So for the majority of the history that we collected this data, notice that stone is always staying above the other 2 resources. Now we like to call it the Big Stone Anomaly, and we do not have a very good explanation of why, because it should not be. Because if you look at this, the hardest resource to create is iron. And if you there are these other tabs here. So if you click on this tab, which is the 1000 DEC chart, so that actually plots all the resources relative to each other, right? So no baseline or anything. So this is essentially how the resources are priced in DC. Okay, so 1,000 stone is worth, if I zoom in right here, 1,000 stone currently is 134 DC. 1,000 iron is 274. 1,000 wood is 26, and 1,000 grain is 8.85. Okay, is this clear?
Yeah, that must be a little bit disappointing for you, Matt. You went heavily into wood, didn't you? With you got all the forests and
Yeah, it's about the long term. I'm not phased. I'm not bothered. I see what you mean
Yeah.
though, Azircon, because that grey line theoretically should be lower down between the wood
stone should
and
be
the
lower than
iron.
iron. Mm.
Right.
Yeah,
So
well, it is, but it should be lower.
right. So not on this plot, but on the other plot, if you actually look at the grain factor plot, in theory, the iron line should be highest. But if you look at it throughout the history of the data collection, iron was never higher than stone. So if you just think about the difficulty, just the production difficulty, iron should be highest, followed by stone, followed by wood, and grain is the baseline. So that's the way it should work, but it never did. And actually, the gap between these oftentimes is a factor of 2. Like, see, right now, it is factor of 1.5. So stone is trading at 1.5 times the fair value, and iron and wood is trading at a discount at 0.77. So like 23% discount to the fair value. So that is the fallacy of the system. And we have a theory why that is. And the theory is, so in order to get to the theory, we'll go to a different plot. So I'm clicking on the region matrix plot. So
This
it'll
is my
change.
favorite part, the theory.
Yeah. So when I click on this region matrix, now it is showing in the Pretoria how much of the land is currently active. So there are two metrics here. And both are very similar. So based on either metrics, it's about 33% of the land, total land, that is currently active. One is based on PP. Based on PP meaning a land is active and it has cards in it. Some card, I mean, it can be 1 PP card or 5 PP card, whatever it is. The land is cleared and active and it has some card in it. And the other one is land is active, cleared, but it is currently empty or has no DEC on it. Like if it doesn't have any DEC staked, it is not going to produce, right? So what this is telling you, only about 30% of Pretoria is currently producing. And our theory is in this 30%, we are light on stone, relatively speaking. Like if the entire Pretoria would be active, then everything is normalized. Then all the resources are normalized. And if everything else is equal, it should trade close to fair value. All the resources should trade to fair value. If there is no demand crisis or any of that. In equilibrium state, which can never happen. We understand that. But the point is, the plots that are currently active, they are light on stone. So there is not enough stone production in Pretoria. So the inactive bit, the 70% that is inactive, we believe that is heavy on stone. So that is why stone prices are higher, and and again, it's a theory, right? There is no simple way to prove it until the entire Pretoria is active. So I'll pause here and just listen to you guys. What do you think? And this is the plot of all the regions in terms of their activity.
Oh,
So this is active versus inactive region. Every single region in Pretoria.
It is really, really interesting to see this develop, and that grain factor plot, that makes a lot more sense to me now. So I've seen it previously and thought I'll have to work that out at some point, but now that that definitely, I think you would assume that would normalize as people like Bob now he's switched off grain, he's started up stone. There is potential there. There are plots out there where, and I know I'm sitting on several hundred of them, I'm sure, that could readily produce stone. So the higher that stays, the longer that stays high, the more incentive there is for people to develop those plots.
Yeah.
So again, everything should theoretically normalize. And likewise with iron, people have moved PP and DEC from that to stone. So that should normalize. And that's a good, for somebody who wants to speculate, now would be a good time to sell your stone and buy iron with it. And then wait for those to meet in the middle. And we would assume that over time those lines would coalesce around that
right. So grain. For someone like you, Matt, what I can recommend very easily, if you have inactive stone plots that you are holding but not producing, this is a great time to activate them. And turn off.
That's a terrible idea, Matt. Don't do that.
And produce a lot of stone and turn off your iron plots or your wood plot temporarily and wait for them to catch up. Wait for the stone, iron and wood. Look, they are basically at the same spot. They're both at 25% discount, 23% discount. So let them catch up while you switch the same PP you have going on those wood plots. You put them in stone and then start producing more stone. Now, you are going to say, okay, why am I not doing it? Why I am not doing it? And I'm giving you the secret of not doing it. And I will tell you why. I own region 10 in pristine Northwest. And in my region, there are only 9 stone plots. And I have them activated, boosted to the best of my ability. I cannot do any better. I simply do not have any more stone. I am unfortunate that way. So there you go.
And it's so interesting when they brought out what land can do, I felt so disappointed that I didn't have more grain plots, because I'm just thinking grain is, but the metrics here that you're showing, it's I think maybe a lot of people did that. Maybe lots of people just went into grain because the prices of the grain plots pumped after that release as well. And it became very hard to buy a rare or magical plot that was capable of producing grain.
So we are on a different page, we are still on the resource metrics, but since we started talking about grain, I will show you something very interesting that I hope you guys will like. So we have calculated the total amount of grain that is being produced at Pretoria, total. Like we have the entire data set, right? So we can slice and dice it in various different ways. And without getting into the numbers, because the plots are actually much better, picture what the 1,000 word, they say, right?
Exactly.
So this is all the resources of Pretoria. Grain is orange, wood is this kind of a matte brown color, stone is gray, light gray, iron is sort of green. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I am going to turn everything else off and just keep the grain. This is the grain net production of grain production, net grain production of Pretoria. Do you see something interesting? Obviously.
I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at here, other
An
than
influx of grain,
is
and
this
everything
Yeah.
else is
a certain point in time it reversed, or am I reading it right?
Right, exactly. So each bar is a day, right? So if you hover at April 22, we had 6 million grain surplus. So we were keep producing grain and we are adding to our surplus. So net production is positive early on. But there is something happened on April 29 and production suddenly dropped. Do you remember what happened on April 29?
Was that 1.75?
No, April 29 is the day we first started producing Aura. That is the launch
that-
of Midnight Potion.
SPS? Okay.
Midnight Potion, the Aura, Matt, you should remember the date. I mean, maybe not the exact date, but I'm reminding you. That is the first time we started producing Aura. And remember, Aura takes the same amount of grain and other resources that is additional. Like previously, it was only research and SPS, and we were sort of in equilibrium. We were producing about 5 to 6 million surplus and adding to our grain stash. But that reversed on April 29. And since then, we are at a deficit. So we are producing less and less grain compared to our baseline. So if it is below the zero line, that means we are consuming more grain than we are producing. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously
So-
that can't go on forever. So we
Right. Exactly. So currently, each day we are running about 6 million is the highest, like at the height of order production. 6 million to, currently we're about 3 million. Yeah, 2.83 million. So we are running a 3 million per day grain deficit currently. But grain prices are still dropping. Grain prices, we just checked, grain prices is in a perpetual decline. Why is that? Because over many years,
rain was
we
the
have
thing.
produced a lot of grain.
Yeah.
So can you read this number?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? 40 million or total? Whoa,
Total,
what's that?
that's 7 billion. Okay. So currently, our grain stash is 7 billion. We are running a deficit. See, we produced 121 million and we consume 124 million. So we are running a deficit, right? But we had a lot of stash. So we have to burn through 7 billion grain. Okay.
that would be like spending $3 a day from an account that has $7,000 in it. That's not going to be used up quick. Yeah.
Right. It is, we calculate it is going to take 1.5 years at this current rate. But obviously that doesn't mean anything because the current rate is not going to be there. More and more resource intensive activities are going to be added, and all activities will require grain, and we will consume more grain. Okay? So that is the theory. So here again, see, this is the Aura production started at April 29. April 29 is the start of the Aura production. And then since then, we started producing Aura and we kept on producing Aura. So now so, and going back to this plot, my favorite plot, and now we talked about grain, but remember I told you that stone is expensive. Stone is at a much higher, trading much higher than fair value. Look, Praetorians responded to that. They are producing more and more stone every single day. The stone production from this dip, the dip is the height of the aura production because aura takes a lot of stone, right? They have increased, Praetorians have increased the stone production every single day. And yet, so that is the supply, right? So we have increased the supply every single day, but we still cannot keep up with demand. That's why the price is rising, right?
Makes
It's
sense.
very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, you can click on these and the individual things will pop up. So, I can turn off grain for a second so we can actually see just say the iron production. See, people also sort of increased iron production, not as much as the stone production, but people have increased iron production. Let's take a look at wood. People have also increased wood production, but not as much as stone. But iron and wood production, as they increase, there is not enough demand, so the prices are going down, but not with stone. Stone prices are higher to flat, and people have increased production. So that's the power of this particular plot.
I wonder if there's any one particular person or group who are trying to cornerstone, perhaps. I know that's difficult when considering that anybody can make it, anybody who has the plots can make it, but it just feels like there's some other use case. Is somebody building a castle and they're not telling anyone? Like, where's this stone? What's it being stockpiled for?
Beaker and we tried to pinpoint that, right? But if I look at people, because I can check everybody, and I can check everybody's production. I can check in any region. There is a now that's a good segue to the next metric. So you can click on this thing called region metric, and you can look at the production in each region. So I'm clicking on production. And so each region here, this is a graph of what each region is producing. So this is aura. So I can look at stone. So this is in entire Pretoria, stone production in every region. So what happened? Production, stone here. There you go. So highest stone producing region is region 78, and we can look up who owns region 78. I think is Vaktis. And then next is 119, 73, and so on. Okay. And each of the regions, and we can actually look at, click on compare, and we can choose any region. Like we can go to, say, region 73. I'm going to region 73, and we can check how much stone is generating in that region. 74. Sorry, I clicked on, I do not have my mouse because I'm using that port for something else. So again, so this is again, sorry, production. So this is region 65. I just happened to click on region 65. So region 65 is producing this much stone and this much iron and this much wood. So you can spend hours looking at this and, analyze every region, who is producing what, and all of that, right? How much PP they have on each plot. You can even look at a track and a plot level. So you can select a particular track. So if you have a favorite region, you can tell me and I can select that region, and we can select a particular track.
Well, we could have a look at 36, perhaps. That's my region that I'm doing the most
on.
Let's
37
look
is
at
just
30,
wooden grain, but 36 I'm doing more on.
36, 36, 36, 36.
Interestingly, I've sort of had insights on this because the Roaring Twenties Guild, which I lead, owns the castle in Region 29. And so when a castle does the harvest of all the different taxes, you can actually see the ratios of the different things that are the different resources, including aura that's being produced in that region. So that's a fun little snapshot too, where you say, okay, here's the breakdown. I can actually see how popular each resource is.
So look, this is region 36. This is yours, right, Matt?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So
I've shut down
obviously,
research and SPS. It's just resources now and aura.
yes, absolutely. Most people have shut down research because they have accumulated plenty of research, and currently research doesn't have any value. So that is one direction that you can go, Bob. You have one research going. You can consider turning it off and produce any natural resources of your choice on that plot. So that would be one direction.
I tried to do that last week, but the FOMO was too great.
Yeah. What is your FOMO? What is your FOMO?
I just remember that town hall when Yaba was talking about the secret of Pretoria and how research was was key for that. I thought I want to at least be in it, even if it's a minuscule amount. At least I'm in it.
I will tell you a secret in the secret of Pretoria. Secret of Pretoria is more than 1 year away. Okay. That is what that is my best guess. It could be even more, but it is at least a year away. So, you can, that's why I made that a little comment. Or did I say that to you, or maybe it was someone else?
Yeah, you said it's okay to sell resources and it's okay to not do research.
Yes. So, I actually wrote a post here. Let's see. I wrote a post here, I think today. What do I produce? So in this post, I basically, so this is the top research producers: Vaktis, Cryptomancer, Michael B., Kesrin. They have all stopped doing research, just like Matt Clark did. I am actually playing a little catch up. I'm doing just a little bit of research, just so that I can make a post like this. So in this post, what I did, I had exactly 2 plots. I had SPS on 2 plots. I have research on 2 plots. I have aura on 2 plots, and I just wanted to compare how they match or do not match. So when I analyzed this, I made this comment: a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. That's how I value research right now, right? Because we cannot value it, right? So we have no tangible value. It has a future value. Of course, it has a future value, but we cannot put a number. So it is better, especially, and this is my view, and you can have a different view. That's totally okay. My view is, if you are a small producer, you have 5 plots, you have 10 plots, it is much better for you to produce natural resources and stay ahead in the game, as opposed to run a negative balance. So right now you are running a negative balance, Bob?
Yes.
And I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that at all.
It's about six deck an hour or something.
Yes, you were doing 6 deck an hour, and that would be a good segue again. We can go to player overview, and we can type in any player name. So we're going to type in your name and hit enter. and it is going to, so now this is specifically towards you, and we can do it for anybody. So this gives you the first overview of, all you got to see here is this number. You don't want this number to be negative,
Yeah.
right? If this number is negative, that means you are actually burning cash. I mean, not hypothetically, physically, you are actually physically burning cash, because all the resources here are converted to DEC. And all the taxes are calculated, all the conversion fees are calculated. I mean, we spend a lot of time and a lot of thought into it. So in this case, see your stone production, you are net positive on stone because you are getting about 6 DC per hour. Your order production, you are negative on the order production. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are negative 3 DC per hour, and obviously in research you are negative. So overall you are negative. You are negative 6. So since your research is negative 10, almost 10 per hour, if you stop research and switch it to any asset, any natural asset, then you are going to become positive. It's as simple as that. And here, if you click on deed overview, you can actually see your plots. So you have exactly 5 plots, and it shows you your plot. So this is your order plot, which is a rare plot. This is a common plot, and you are producing research here. This is a rare plot, and this is a stone quarry. And these are 2 canyon plots, and both are common, and they are both producing stone. So you are producing stone on 3 of them, which is the most expensive resource. That is actually helping you a lot. And this is your order and research production. Both of them are very resource heavy. If you ask me for my personal advice, I will stop both of them, because you can actually buy Midnight Potion.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's very cheap. It's 2 cents. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You can buy it. You can buy it from the market. You can buy it now before it get expensive. Buy it
And just stack it
a little bit. Yes,
Yeah.
stash it a little bit, and don't worry about producing research or producing aura. For someone with 5 plot, you should not do any of that. Okay, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. And I will take that advice, and I will actually change my research and my aura production.
Yeah, you said you had a lot of time crystals, so in your case it would be instant.
Yep.
So yeah, so use your time crystal to good use and change it to natural resources.
Yes.
That's what I would do, because you can buy Midnight Potion, and if you want to use it for the pickle card, you can buy pickle card. There will be plenty of pickle card in the market. The prices are going to tank, so it would be easy for you to buy.
Yep.
What are Bob's options on those 2 plots? What natural resources would he be?
Okay, so very simple. This is plain. So this is a grain plot, right? Because so if we look at the white paper, I have a shortcut of the white paper. Where is that? Where is the white paper?
I think it's the second from the bottom, the Splinterlands. You got it.
No, this guy.
Yeah.
So plains, you have plains that produce only grain. So go back to it. Sorry, wrong tab. Go back to it. So plain, that would be a grain plot. So switch it to grain. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. This one is a forest. So that would be a wood plot, I think. Forest would be a wood plot. Change it to wood.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because remember, all you want to do is to be positive. That's the first case. Because you cannot run plots negative for a very long time,
Yeah.
which you have been running. And by the way, I also check you are at 71% capacity. And remember, in one of your research plot during the previous show, you are above 100%, like you are 100%. So once you are at 100%, it cannot store anymore. So everything that you are producing, you are essentially wasting. So if you kept it above 100, if you kept it at 100%, each minute you do that, you are wasting.
So I should never allow it to reach 100.
No,
Whereas
you
I've
should
been
never
waiting
allow.
for it to get to 100.
No,
So,
no.
yeah.
You actually, if I were you, I would do it at 75. I wouldn't let it go above 75.
All right.
Because then you're going to forget, and then you're going to lose money. You probably have lost a lot of money.
I know there's a couple of times I've gone to harvest, even back when it was only grain, and it's like 2 weeks, and I go, oh, I've missed a week. And it's like, that's a whole week then of nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and just as you go to claim your Guadalajara internet or electricity might drop out too.
Yes, exactly. So don't push your luck. Make a note in your calendar. Like 75 would be like in 5 days time, right? So you claim every 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Every 5 days time.
Yes.
And that's
set the alarm. Set the alarm.
Yeah.
Reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be my advice to you, and that's the simplest thing you can do, because you do not want to get this number negative. No. There is absolutely no reason for it to be negative. By the way, look at Matt Clark.
Prime example.
100% he's on.
Yeah, he's been a good boy.
Yeah. 490 per hour. Okay. So now I'm going to pull up a little calculator.
The breakdown.
Right? So 490 per hour. 490 times 24. That's 11,760. So that's $11 at peg per day, right? So times 30. That is $352 per month.
Wow.
$352 per month times 12. That's $4,000, $4,200 a year.
And that's all getting invested straight back in, right? Like that's not money I'm pulling out. Just if anybody from the ATO is listening, I'm not pulling any of that money out.
Yes.
That's theoretical
that's
value.
That's the beauty. But
that's the value they want to tax.
It is a real value, though. It is a real value you are earning and reinvesting the dividend, right? Consider this as a dividend income, and you are reinvesting your dividend. This is real money, though, right? This is real money.
If I went to my accountant and said, look, I'm bankrupt, but I've got all of this research. It's coming. It's coming. He's going to laugh at me.
No, don't do research, Bob. That is not the way to go.
It's not for small fry. Not right now.
Yeah. No,
this is a point, though.
I will convert both of those plots after this episode.
About this game, right? There was a time I remember when I was making 50 cents a day out of this game, theoretically, as income that I could theoretically pull out. And I just kept rolling that 50 cents a day back in. And then I was, hang on, it's $1.50 a day now. Now it's $5 a day. When the SPS drop was happening, SPS was $1 each. I was making $5,000 a day. Then I was back down to $8 a day. Now it's $12. What's it going to be a year from now? As I keep rolling it back in, right? Don't look for opportunities to pull that value out. Where else are you going to invest? You're going to buy shares in the fiat world. you're gonna buy silver, that's silver or gold, physical.
Yeah.
By all means diversify, but that's in one place. This is
Yeah.
everywhere. This is everywhere.
Yeah.
You've got an internet connection as long as you own your key.
Right. And I always try to tell people, and this is why I'm showing this, right? 490 DC. When you just say that, it doesn't sound anything meaningful, right? But if you say, oh, my dividend income from an investment is $4,000 a year, suddenly that's real money, right? Actually, even if you consider $350 a month, that's actually pretty good dividend income. I mean, for anybody,
Some
a
people live
dividend
off
check, right?
And
In some countries,
at the rate the Aussie dollar is falling against the greenback,
yes,
that would be enough to buy a suburb before too long.
I will give you an
Eventually.
example. I will give you a real life example. I have a house in Houston that I have it for rent. I have tenants there, and happens to be after I take care of all the insurance, property management, mortgage, all of that. My net income on that house is about $350 on a house that I have it for rent. So
and all that
happens
work,
to be
time, and effort that you're putting
Yes.
in to manage and all that, it's like what you're getting really out of it. Yeah.
right. So I'm just saying, my point is $350 is real money. It's actually, and at a point where we know SPS is very low. I mean, it is nowhere near where we expect it to be. And we are still making substantial investment income from our assets. That's my point.
Yeah.
And we can check everybody, right? So now we're going to check Vaktis, which is, now you realize Vaktis have invested millions into the game, right? So Vaktis' earning is going to be off the chart. But it is important for us to benchmark. So we benchmark Bob, we benchmark Matt Clark, and we are going to benchmark Vaktis. I actually have a spreadsheet. I'm very geek in that way. Well, it came up, so we're going to do
The Vultus sheet.
yeah.
Look how long it's taking.
I have a sheet for everybody.
All of his assets.
I know what everyone's up to.
I will show you in a second. But let me do the old-fashioned way, just like we did Bob and just like we did Matt Clark. So Vaktis earns 16,207 DC per hour. So 16,207 per hour times 24, that is in a day. So it's $388 per day times 30 in a month, $11,669 a month times 12, $140,000 a year. Okay.
He's like 35 times bigger than me, I reckon.
Yes. And now this is a good segue to go to the spreadsheet. Go to the spreadsheet because I will show you. I have everybody. This is my master spreadsheet. So this has the every single Splinterland player or every single land owner. This is the frequency distribution of that. So this is Vaktis. So Vaktis have invested. This is 271 million DC into the game. I actually probably should do this view format number. I should do the comma so that it's easier to read. So 217 million DC. So we're going to look up Matt Clark. So Control F, MATT. That's Matt Clark. This is Matt Clark. So Matt Clark have staked 1.3 million DC. And this is like an older pool, so it is showing 507. If I do the pool today, right now, it'll show 493. I don't do the pool every single day. And Matt has 39 plots active right now, and has boosted PP of 4 million. Okay. So, and this is any player in the game is here. So I have all the way to the bottom of the sheet.
Because some of these guys own thousands of plots, but yet they have their PP concentrated in just a few plots, like in retrospect, right?
Exactly.
That is really crazy, yeah.
Right. So, for example, take me, for example. This is me. So I have 1,115 plots.
Yeah, look how many.
But I only have 561 active. Yeah. And I am not very efficient. I have 26 million DC staked, but I only earn 700. Like there are people like, for example, SPS Whale, which is Aggie. Aggie have similar number of plots active, but only stakes 17 million deck and earn 2000 DC per hour. So Aggie is much more efficient compared to me. So that's why I created this ratio called LPE, land plot efficiency ratio. So if this number is lower, you are more efficient. So see, in my case, this number is 1500. In Aggie's case, this is 300.
Is that because of his boosted PP? That's playing a big,
yes.
Big role.
He got a more older card. It has beta and alpha card, and I do not. I have mostly CL rares or even reward cards in there.
Yeah.
So I am very
and all that.
Yes.
Freedom Fighter, Fighter for Freedom, running very efficiently.
Very, very efficient. Actually, Michael B is number 3 in terms of DC per hour. So I can sort this. Actually, number 2. So Vaktis is 16,000 DC per hour, followed by Michael B, 4,000. But see the difference?
4 times.
4 and 16. So that's how much Vaktis is ahead of Vaktis has 4,400 plots active. 4,400 plots active. That is insane. But look, even Dave, Queen of Monster is Dave, has 1,100 plots active, earns 1,000 DC per hour, but only have 8 million decks staked. Remember, if you think about me, I have 26 million decks staked. So I am going to be pretty high up there in terms of see, I am number 6 in terms of deck staked. Wow. But I earn very little because I do not have good enough cards. So I'm just playing the volume game. I cannot compete with them with quality. So I am just quantity. I'm just running singles.
Yeah.
I cannot hit 6s and 4s.
I think anyone would be happy with 727 DC per hour.
It's so interesting hearing a cricket reference. It's not something, the US wouldn't have a clue. Most Americans wouldn't have no idea what
exactly. So I am Indian, so that is obvious for me. So I'm just playing singles. I cannot hit 4s and 6s like this guy. This is like Adam Gilchrist in his top days, right? So Vaktis is like that, or if you think about today, you'd be like Virat Kohli, right? He actually plays in boundaries, right? He's playing for the gallery. I am playing, just to survive.
It's not just the older cards too. It's also the titles and the totems.
Yes,
so
titles and the totems.
You know, I've got a plot, and it's got all these great alpha cards that are all maxed, and sometimes they're gold, and there's heaps of PP, and also I've got a title on there because I got it for something 5 years ago, and I've got a totem on there, epic or a legendary totem. Like all of that massively jackpots all of this stuff. A legendary totem is the same as having an identical plot with all the same monsters and all the same everything else, because it's that doubling of it. So it is very easy when you've been around from the start and haven't just been selling everything again, which is what I'm saying. You just keep rolling it back in, keep investing it, keep sitting on stuff. Instead of constantly looking to cash out and how can I make money out of this game, it's how can I most efficiently reinvest what I'm earning, so that you can get to the point where you're pulling down $12 a day, $20 a day, and eventually $200 a day.
What is a legendary totem going for at the moment, Matt? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked for a while. We've only got about a minute left before we're cut off, so we want to start winding it up.
So the final thing I'm going to show before we cut things off, this guy with 700 plots is running negative 449 DC per hour.
And the fact that it's still going, he must be topping that up every day.
He's footing the cost,
more deck into his
to run this up,
to keep it going. Yeah.
But as you said, Azukon, with Bob, it's sort of just on a larger scale. Why?
It's probably forgot about it. Probably running just research. We can check our highlighted thing. So Crip 71X. So what I did, I actually went in here, and in the player overview, I type in his name, and I think I have to refresh it because I'll just click somewhere else and then do it because I think it is sleeping. So it's same place, player overview, just where we were typing people's name. So we're going to type and hit enter, and let's see what happens. Right, so that's the negative 379
an hour,
right? Yeah.
Wow.
So
yours
what is happening?
A lot more better, Bob. Now.
Yeah, right. So what is happening is pretty simple, just like I expected, right? So he is running a lot of research. Right, he's running a lot of research and essentially forgotten about it. Right, doesn't seem like he's active, hasn't changed it. So if I go to the deed overview, this is all his plots, and I see there is a lot of empty plots. Right now, I can look up the work sites, and I'm going to look up research. So it is just going to highlight just the research huts. So seems to me, so look at this guy essentially either forgotten or essentially left with the plot running.
I'll tag him in this post, see if we can get him to come take a look.
These are at 100% capacity. All the research plots are at 100% capacity, and it hasn't been claimed for days, and I'm going to say months. Okay, so it has cards in it. It has very limited DEC staked, but they're all full essentially. So, he's not accumulating any more research either. You see, because once it is 100%, it cannot go any higher.
It's wasted.
It's just wasted. Yeah.
He has some good cards in there too.
Yeah, it's pretty good cards in there. Not max. A lot of the cards, see, these are not max cards. These are not max cards, but some of them are. These are pretty high level cards.
I mean, there's gold foil legendaries in there, so the ratio would be Good.
Yeah. I hope this person did not lose his keys and stuff. Look, these
Oh,
are
man.
great cards.
And he has a Rooney, 2 Roonies I saw staked on a
Yeah.
plot as well.
Yeah,
Or
right,
a couple,
right,
at least.
right. So you can do this all day long. But I'm just giving a demonstration because this is like when I clicked on it, that is one thing that kind of jumped out, right? So all I was doing is essentially looking at a DC staked. So he has 7 million DC stake still. It's not enough, but it is a lot still. And you saw it. He has good cards, but
So, would we recommend to him to essentially sell all his grain, maybe, and then do harvests so that research goes away, but he doesn't waste all of the resources that would be otherwise used, I guess?
yeah. So research cannot go up anymore. He's losing research every day. So I can expect why he's doing that, because he doesn't have the other resources. Remember, we all ran into this problem, right? When 1.75 came in, suddenly research requires a lot of these other resources, and a lot of people did not have them, right? And you have to buy those resources, and most likely, and here I'm guessing, this person did not want to, but people oftentimes do not realize that the research plot has an upper limit. Once it gets to 100%, it's like complete loss after that point. So the only thing he can do is, if he doesn't have the resources, buy the resources and claim the research, and then switch those plots around to turn them off, or switch those plots around to natural resources that won't cost anything else.
He's high up on the list as well. 21.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, 21 in terms of staked, DC
Yeah.
in terms of PP, if I do a PP thing, 38 in terms of PP.
That's ridiculous. That's so crazy.
And in terms of plot, number of active plots, 11. He has 746 active plots, which is
Damn.
pretty high up.
It's crazy.
Like 11 is pretty high up. Like it's much higher than me, for example, in terms of plot. Like I have 561 and it's above me. There is nobody between 561 and 746. So we're going to check we're going to check Matt Clark again real quick. So where is Matt Clark? 39 plots, number 196. And Matt Clark almost earns as much as me. That's
look at that
Part.
efficiency.
Right. It's very efficient.
That efficiency.
It's very, very efficient. It's very, very efficient.
But that's the titles, right? That's the totems.
Yes. Not just that. Totems, title, Rooney, good cards, it's all combined, right? Everything is boosting your ability to, like, all your flesh golems, right? All your flesh golems are there, I'm guessing. So,
yeah. Apart from the one I play with, everything else is
right. Everything else is there, right? Yeah. So that's what it is. That's what it is doing. So that's the whole idea. So
and that's only
this
like
is how
$1,500 worth of DEC, right? That I've had to stake to that. Whereas we're looking at this other guy's. See, he's got $7,000 worth of DEC that's locked into land.
Yes,
and he's not getting any benefit from it.
No.
Right, not getting anything from it. Not getting anything from it. It's actually accumulating losses every day.
Yeah,
accumulating losses every day. So that's the sad part. And we just not to pick on anybody, but it's just essentially, how can I move this thing, the Zoom window thing. Oh, it kind of goes away slowly. All right. So, but if you look at this, so oftentimes what I do, I don't want to look at just the, big landholders. If you look at the frequency distribution of all the landholders, there are, so the reason I chose 5, because a lot of my friends have just 5 plots of land, just like Bob. So there are 175 unique people that have 5 plots of land, just 5 plots of land. If you took 10, there are 38 people with 10 plots of land. So since I have already did an analysis of 5, so let's just do 10. So we're going to go down to 10, and we'll see, like, there are who are those 38 people, right? So these are all those people with only 10 plots of land.
How many plots do you have, Gio?
I've split them across 2 accounts. I don't know, 5 on.
What's your account name?
Geotrix.
Okay, we'll look you up.
Yeah. But that's the one, though. I'm not running any plots at the moment, but that's how many plots I own.
With an I.
If you are not running, then it is not going to show up, because it is
okay.
because it's only active plots, right? Inactive plots are not taken into account.
Okay. That's it.
So
then. Yeah.
that's it. So in that case, so see, these are people with 10 plots. Do you see how many negative numbers do you see here? So what we're going to do, we can highlight all the people with 10 plots. These are people with 10 plots. Actually, the way we're going to do it, we're going to click on the first one and then go down and click on the last one. Right? So, yeah. So these are the people. We can go to a new sheet. Right? And just get the titles from there. Yeah. Oops, sorry. This one. So get the titles from here. So that, we can keep track of these things. So yeah, so these are the things, and we can now filter them.
Considering 10 plots, no one's like really winning hard, are they? In 10 plots.
We will check. So let's see. These are all the people with 10 plots. So the maximum DC per hour is Momo Juice. 74 DC per hour. It's not bad. 74 DC per hour is not bad at all, especially when you consider only 400,000 DC stakes. That's pretty efficient. That's very efficient. But now we do the flip side. Look at that. No any names here? -30, -28, -10, -9.
I don't know any of these people.
15.
I come across.
I once talked. I think I know a Pokito. I think I spoke to him. I might have him on Discord, I believe.
Okay, so these people, we're going to call them red. And we're going to call these green.
He's Filipino.
We're going to call these guys green. Right? So, just for the heck of it. Right? So now if we flip the switch, there you go. These are the green people, and they all are same. About half of them are positive, about half of them are negative. But look, if I look at the DC staked, so notice this guy has 500,000 DC staked, but have a negative earning. While this guy has 461 DC stake, but has a pretty nice positive earning. Right? So such is life. Such is life. So and one is managing well, and other one is not managing well.
Almost, it's like he's not even paying attention to it. It's forgotten. That's it.
Right. You already saw the maximum case of forgotten, right? Like somebody with 700 plots.
That's a good point. Maximum forgetfulness.
Yes. 700 plot with the good cards, with lot of DC staked, and it's a complete waste. So
the most efficiency I saw in this group was 149. I think I saw. Can we have a look at him?
149.
LPE on the right there. I think I saw 149 as the most efficient.
We can sort. Actually, the most efficient is
55.
The most efficient is this guy. But with
didn't you say the lower that number? Didn't you say the lower that number?
The lower is the best. Sorry, the lower is the best. So 55. The negative 55. Doesn't count, right? Because the negative is negative earning. Sorry. 55 is the most efficient.
So this guy has 10 plots. I'd like to see what cards and whatever else he has to make that so efficient,
Okay, so we can
3,000 DEC staked for 63 DEC now. That's good.
That's very good. So we can go look at Eagle Moon. Right? We can go look at Eagle Moon. That's a very easy thing to do. So we are going to go there, and we're going to refresh this.
So either he's an OG or he's spent a fair bit on a few alpha cards back in the day and titles and all that.
Yeah. So we'll check. Just check. Just a second. Biza, for example, Biza is extremely efficient. He has like 20 plots or something, I checked, or 5 plots. One of his account has 5 plots, but like 120 DC per hour.
Oh.
Yeah, so with 5 plots. I made a post on that. That's the post Bob was mentioning. People with 5 plots will go check that. Okay, so Eagle Moon, 66 DC per hour. Let's see what he's doing. Grain, some grain. Look, I knew it. Almost the entire DC is coming out of stone. 65 out of 66 DC. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. So, this is a guy who's not messing around. Okay.
We need to tag him. He's
on top of
Eagle Moon. Good work, mate.
He's the top of his game. Top of his game. Absolutely on top of his game. Okay. So we're going to click on his stone resources, because he has actually the other plots empty. So look what he has.
Oh, wow.
That's bulletproof. That is top of the line stuff.
That's badass. Yeah.
That is top of the line. Like a single plot, this single legendary plot is pulling 481 stone per hour. That single plot. I don't think I have a single plot like, I don't have a single stone plot like that with Rooney and everything. He knows what he's doing. So he's top of his game.
And that's a seal of approval from everyone here.
Yeah.
You sir get a digital sticker.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So 5 plots and pulling 66 DC per hour. Like almost the entirety is coming out of the stone. So out of 10 plots, 5 plots running stone, and that's it.
It reminds me of a question I thought of in the break. With my research and my aura, I'm going to convert those accordingly to grain and to wood.
Yes.
Currently, I'm at 71% capacity.
Yes.
Is it worth spending the deck to harvest that 70%?
Yeah, you will definitely harvest.
Okay.
You always, before you change anything, you always harvest.
Right, even
So
though
whatever
that
it
would cost
is-
me resources.
Yes, even
Yes.
if
Okay.
that is going to cost you resources, harvest everything, make it to 0%,
Yeah.
and then switch it using time crystal
Yeah.
to switch one to grain and switch the other one to wood
Yeah.
and let it lie.
Okay.
And you are done.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I just
So
pick your
that's
brain, Aziak, on how you feel about the liquidity pools? Because that's been a big focus for me. I would like to get 2, maybe even 3% in some or all of those liquidity pools. I feel like that's a really good,
yes.
because as people are
Yes.
buying and selling and swapping, you kind of, you're being
Yes.
the house. How do you feel about
Absolutely.
those as an option? Yeah.
But for you, it is extremely important, not for somebody like Bob. Okay. So, and my reason is very simple. You can very easily get to, even 5% of the pool, and then you are going to get a lot of fees from the pool. Remember, your stone or your assets get locked there for 30 days minimum. But for someone who is running a deficit of lot of resources and having to buy resources from the market, it is not a good idea for somebody like Bob to put a lot of resources in the liquidity pool. Even the best liquidity pool currently is stone, obviously, because stone is most expensive and people trade a lot of stone. More you trade, more fees you generate. So for someone like you, Matt, you produce a lot of stone. So actually, we can check real quick. CLARKE. You can put your production in the liquidity pool, and you can earn, obviously, from the fees. That is very efficient and a long-term solution.
That's right. Because
So
I'm self-sufficient. So once I've claimed
yes,
everything, then I
yes,
know that anything I have is excess, because
yes,
by the time I go to
yes.
claim the next 4 or 5 days, I will have
Mhm.
acquired enough of each of the resources to cover my own.
Right.
Self-sufficiency is what you're talking about there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because see, look in here. This is you. So this is your stone. So you produce, in terms of stone production, about 1,000 per hour, right? And only your consumption is aura, because you have stopped your research or SPS. So your only consumption is in your aura. That is only 141. So 1,000 minus 141, let's say 150. So that's 850. So you are running an 850 stone surplus every hour. You can easily put it in the liquidity pool. So I would highly recommend that for you. And I think you are already doing it.
Yeah, I am. And this is the benefit of, while research was easy to get, while it only cost PP and grain,
Yes.
DSC
Yes.
staked,
Mhm.
that's when I prioritize. I think I ended up with about 2.5 million research,
Mhm.
which means if it's 10,000 for a permit, I can just pay that and not worry about it.
Mhm.
It's just
Mhm.
a small sliver of my total. And I think
Mhm.
now that research is harder to get,
Mhm.
I'm feeling reassured that I have plenty. But I can see where Bob's coming from, where he's like, well, I still want to make sure I'm getting some research. And
Yeah.
that, if anything, is, once again, while the going's good, while the
Mhm.
reward cards are right there to be earned and for
Mhm.
just for playing, that's when you grab them and keep them and sit on them for 3-4 years. Likewise
Mhm.
with the research, it was cheap for a long time to make research.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not cheap anymore, and it's going to get harder down the
Yes,
track. I think I remember
absolutely.
hearing you need a keep or a castle to
Right.
earn research in future.
Right.
It's only going
So
to get harder. So yeah,
So, for example, I consider myself, forget about Bob for 1 second. I consider myself, I have lost on the research game already to some extent, right? Because I haven't done much research. I will never be able to catch up with the big boys. Um, there is no hope. So I have to play within my limit, right? So there is no point for me to catch up, try and catch up extensively. I have about 2.7 million, which is nothing compared to, like the big boy, like, Vaktis, Cryptomancer, or even you. I mean, I'll never going to get to 5 million. So I have to play within my limits, right? So, I mean, I cannot be Sachin Tendulkar and, make straight drives like that, right? So I have to play in singles. So that is what I am doing. So, for example, right here, this is your stone plot, right? This is an amazing plot, right? It's a legendary. You have totem, you have title, you have Rooney. You are producing 500 stone per hour, right? I mean, I probably like my entire region. So 500 stone per hour, right? So I will show you. I'm very transparent because I see everyone else's. So everyone else should see mine. So I'll show you. So if I go to my land, and this is the conventional display. So I'm going to go to production, and you'll see in a second. So this is my full region that I was talking about. So look, I have 9 plots that produce stone, and I produce 670 stone total from the 9 plots. And you produce 500, what was it? 500 stone per hour from 1 plot, right? So that's the difference.
Yep, that's pretty great.
Yeah. So that's how this game is going to be played. That's how the land game is going to be played. So what I recommend to people is use these tools to your advantage. By the way, we have a leaderboard here now. You can see like who is leading the DEC leaderboard, the active plots leaderboard, boosted PP leaderboard, and then this ratios, these individual ratios. We also have the plots for them. You can look at top 500, top 100, and all of that. See where you fall. Like you can look at top 100 in the DEC leaderboard, and you can see like you can zoom in to like these can be zoomed in, and just can be expanded like this. So this is the DEC grain, the individual things like aura, who is producing aura, like Vactis is producing a lot of aura. Cryptoeater is producing a lot of SPS for a change, not producing any aura at all. So you can at a quick glance, you can see Michael Bree is producing a lot of SPS and aura, not producing much else. So things like that. So you can have that at a quick glance, and you can, just like everything else, you can just double click on one of them, and that turns off. These are so now I'm turning everything off, and so this is just aura. So who is producing how much aura? Vactis is producing, oh my goodness, 10,000 aura per hour. Michael B is producing 1,400. Gold matter producing 2,500. Gold matter produces a lot of potion and then sells them. So Matt, the other Matt, is producing 1,300 aura per hour, so on and so forth. Fat Jimmy is not producing much aura at all. Dave is not producing much aura at all. So yeah, that's your intelligence. This is your intelligence window. So
it's also fascinating to see what other people are doing and what they're prioritizing.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to do with this, like that was my goal, to create like all these different leaderboards. Because if every leaderboard looks the same, and if Vaktis is on top of every leaderboard, then it's not that exciting. But you saw that we picked up a lot of people randomly. They are like 10 plot owners, right? So we picked up this guy called Eagle Moon, and we found out that he is extremely efficient. He's a legend, right? He's a legend.
I would like to point out though, if you're just a casual player and you're watching this and you're maybe struggling to make sense of it all, and you're sitting there and thinking, I really want to be more efficient with what I have, I think the term efficiency implies that you can do better with what you have at the moment. And there's every chance that with the cards and the plots you have, you're doing the absolute best. Even if you don't have a high efficiency score, there's every chance that you've arranged the cards that you have on the plots that you have, and you're doing things as to the absolute best that you, of your ability with what you have. You are actually very, very efficient, because I've always deemed efficiency to be using what you have the best, right? The most efficient way. So don't feel bad if your efficiency score is low, because if you just arrived not that long ago, you bought some regular plots, you bought some Chaos Legion cards, maybe a couple of golds, you threw them in there, and you've had to stake quite a lot of DEC to get that production going and to get that wood and that stone and that iron, and you have a low efficiency score and you're not quite sure how it all works and why are these guys more efficient, understand that the only way to really boost that efficiency score is to go back 5 or 6 years, buy really cheap alphas, or buy them now, right? But have really have alphas, have totems, have titles. All of that stuff is about what you already had, right? If all you can afford is just the plots that you have and the cards that you have, and you can't afford any better, don't look at what you're producing and saying, "Oh, I need to be more efficient with what I have." There's every chance that you're already doing that. It's just that to be more efficient, according to these metrics, you need to have all those multipliers, and that could be well and truly out of your range. So don't feel bad. I'm sure you're doing the best you can with what you have.
Yes, and I want to always give my example. I am probably one of the least efficient people that is out there, right? So my efficiency score, if you look at my score, is really bad. Bad meaning I just don't have good enough cards. I basically I do not have enough alpha and beta cards. And why can't I go see with this many things on? I'm having a hard time going to the bottom of the screen to change the tab. Okay,
you might have 2 scroll bars on the right. Sometimes happens.
That happens. That totally happens. I just want to go at the bottom, but never mind. You saw I have about 27 million DC staked, and I only earn 700. There are a lot of people, like if you look at Biza, for example, which is right here. Right here, I that is the 5 plot post, and I think Biza is at the very top on that post. If I go to that post, folks with 5 plots, and here is a plot here. There it is. So I'm gonna zoom into this. Go full screen here again. So these are people, they all have exactly 5 plots, right? So with 5 plots, Byzantine Kitty, this is Biza's one of the account, earns about 125 DC per hour with 5 plots only. Lot of people, his nearest competitors earn like 70, 60, 50 DC per hour. So, you can do it, but you would need cards, totems, Rooney, things like that. There are many ways to play this game, and people are trying their best to do it the way it suits their needs. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, lovely. Yeah, Byzantine Kitty, if you're out there and having a listen, mate, I DM'd you a while ago. It'd be great to have you on the show, hear your thoughts. You're around for a while and we haven't seen you for a bit. So, feel free to reach out. It'd be good to hear from you. So that's I think that's reassuring in a way. Like you say, you are on paper at least really inefficient compared to a lot of others. And it's not that you don't understand these things. You're the one making these charts and stepping us through it. So, yeah, I always feel for people who are a little bit lost with it all, as Bob was for a while there. And to see that others are more efficient kind of feels like, well, if I just understood things better, I would be using my resources better. And that's absolutely not the case. You would need to have the have those resources in order to get more DEC per hour from the DEC you have staked. That's really all it's measuring.
I've got a clarity now that I haven't had at all in the past. Thanks, Azakon.
Yeah, that was the intent, and hopefully everybody got a little bit out of it, and hopefully you have some path forward, and all the tools are free. Everything is available at your disposal. You can look at any user and mimic them. Look at what they're doing, what is best for you, and do it yourself.
Must share all of that, all of those links and whatever else.
Yeah, it's all on our Discord chat. When Bob is going to put the post together, you can do that. So,
and in Notepad I've been time indexing when you've mentioned people as well. So I'll make it as friendly as possible to identify particular points as well. Yeah,
and I am here. Any help anybody needs, just shoot me a note. I am almost always available in Discord.
All right, and that's good to know. I mean, there's a lot of people, as well known as yourself in the game, that people can't reach out to.
Unavailable.
You're unavailable. So just to say, look, I'm available.
Matt,
contact me.
I am always around.
Yeah.
It's cool. We have a lovely community. Good group of people who are willing to guide even people with 5 plots. Right? There's no ego. It's not like I have this many plots. I'm not going to help. No, it's cool. It's cool. So thank you for coming on, Azakon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, this is like so useful, so beneficial. So, thank you very, very much for coming on. And like even myself personally, like the clarity that I have now, I can't wait to get 75% so I can harvest those resources and get myself in the green.
And when this episode comes out, you can listen to it while you're driving without just clasping the steering wheel. Near
crash.
All right, we got to go then.
Yeah, and remember, any questions, comment below, reach out to us personally. We're all open on Discord.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on 178. We'll be back next week. No, this is 179. Next week is 180.
Yes.
We'll be back next week, 180.